This episode is about what happens to the human mind and body when people are forced to leave their homes. Being forced to leave a home is a very specific kind of loss. It's not just the loss of a building, it's the loss of orientation, of familiarity, and the loss of the quiet confidence that the world makes sense. When leaving isn't a choice, safety stops being assumed and becomes something that has to be constantly protected. Imagine being forced to leave your home, not as a plan, not as a choice, but because staying is no longer safe. Imagine arriving in a place that feels completely foreign to you, a language you don't fully understand, customs you don't know, streets that don't feel familiar. Imagine not knowing what work you'll find or if you'll find any at all. Not knowing where your next meal will come from. Not knowing if tonight will be safe. Imagine not knowing if this place is temporary or if it's the rest of your life. Imagine trying to answer your kids' questions when you don't have the answers yourself. Where will we live? Will I go to school? When can we go home? And realizing that home might no longer exist in the way it once did. And for those who were once comfortable, even wealthy, imagine losing everything overnight. Homes, businesses, social standing, and a sense of certainty. Displacement doesn't discriminate. It reduces people to the same questions. Will we survive? Will we be safe? Will we ever feel settled again? This is the emotional reality of forced displacement. Hypervigilance, emotional restraint, a constant readiness for things to fall apart again. Joy becomes cautious. Attachment feels risky. Trust becomes conditional. This isn't weakness. It's the nervous system doing its job. What I'm describing doesn't belong to one country, one generation, or one moment in history. Anytime people are forced to leave their homes without choice because of war, violence, persecution, or fear, the emotional impact follows a similar pattern. So this isn't about geography. It's about what forced displacement does to the human spirit. Even when people find work, housing, or stability, this emotional state doesn't automatically disappear because the body remembers that what was once taken can be taken again. So safety becomes very fragile. Control becomes extremely important. And uncertainty becomes something people learn to live with. Over time, this way of living becomes normalized. Parents become protective, not because they want control, but because loss taught them vigilance. Stability becomes more important than happiness. Security becomes more important than being soft and gentle. These aren't personality traits, they're survival adaptations. What often goes unnamed is that this emotional state doesn't stay contained within one generation. It gets passed down, not through stories, but through behaviors, through urgency, through silence, through pressure to succeed, through fear of losing what has been built. When home is no longer safe, survival becomes a way of life. And this is how survival quietly passes from one generation to the next.